Welcome back to the show, everyone. We've been having a very enlightening conversation tonight about election monitors here on Prime Politics. Now, we have with us representatives from the Transition Monitoring Group, civil society, mental health practitioners, youth groups, and political parties. So before we go any further, let's just pause and listen to what our audience will have to say to us this evening. Let me start off with the zonal coordinator of the Transition Monitoring Group, Mr. Sulaiman Aribabu. What's your question for anyone on the panel here?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. First is a comment that we need not to overburden INEC. So in terms of monitoring the spending of political parties, INEC do not have the capacity to do this. The most is that INEC can say, submit to us how much you intend to spend and how do you intend to spend the money. But the capacity to check that they overspent or went out of what they said they are going to spend, INEC don't have that capacity. We need to saddle appropriate agencies of state to do that. That's important. More important is that election observers, we go to the field, we see things, we report to INEC, we report to relevant agencies, but after then what happens? INEC do not have the capacity and should not be saddled with the responsibility to prosecute election offenders. It's not INEC's mainstay. So what we need to do is to saddle appropriate agencies. Otherwise, people are going to continue to commit crimes on election days, and they will get away with it.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut in there just so that to let other people also speak. Are you directing that to anyone on the panel here, Prof?
I want to respond to that we shouldn't overburden INEC.
I presume those are comments.
Yes.
It's a bit difficult to ask us not to overburden INEC. Those statutory responsibilities are not there for decoration, with all due respect. And I think encouraging INEC into the realm of irresponsibility or incapacity, self-inflicted or otherwise, should not be part of our brief as citizens. It seems to me that's what we do when we suggest that INEC somehow should be excused for not having the capacity or claiming not to have the capacity to do what the law requires it to do. And the idea that somehow the parties are not opening their books and INEC is pleading incapacity, that's a very Nigerian excuse, with all due respect. And I really hope we can grow beyond this and insist that if our laws require that INEC should monitor campaign spending, then INEC has to have the capacity to do so. We cannot excuse it.
All right, we'll give Mr. Lekki a chance to respond to that. Shall he respond to that immediately?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Lekki, could you respond to that, that feeling of helplessness, which it seems that INEC is going through right now?
INEC has not, we have not pleaded helplessness with regards to campaign finance monitoring. It's our responsibility to monitor, and we do monitor. But the difference between monitoring and compliance. Now, we have seen situations where we send our monitors out there, which are sometimes independent, accounts auditors that we recruit from the general public to go out there on behalf of INEC, to go and use the instrument that we have developed to collect information. But you find that the political parties are not compliant. And that is the issue. We go out there every year, and in most cases, we're expected to actually report to the National Assembly and publish the report of finance auditing of this campaign of these political parties. But because data is not there, we've done that before.
Dr. Lekki, I remember that in the run-up to this election, shortly after the last one, there was a question of INEC actually doing this audit. You talked about monitoring and then the issue of compliance. And I remember then it was said that of the parties that participated in 2015, only 1 or 2 submitted any kind of statement of account of what happened, how they spent money. But the ones who, by media accounts, really had resources to spend and expended the resources, not only didn't submit, INEC was unable to hold them to account.
And are we in that same position
Are
now?
we still in that same position? Is that what you're saying, that when you say there's a difference between monitoring and compliance?
Yeah, I think we believe we are making progress in terms of being able to address this issue. We have, since that time, since the 2015 experience, established procedure whereby we have built the capacity of the political parties. We've had different partners assist us to build their capacity to be compliant with filling out the forms. And we expect that when we go out again in this round of electioneering, maybe immediately after the election, we should have a higher degree of compliance coming from the political parties. We have not given up. We have the instrument, we have the people, we have the manpower to do it. But really, we must face up to the challenge that there is a challenge out there in terms of compliance. It's all part of the impunity. I'm not trying to make excuse for any, but we do have the instrument, we have the resources, we have the people, we have the mechanism, and we go out and monitor, and collect the data. But data are simply not readily available. And the people just need to understand that they need to be compliant with the law and make the data available to INEC. They have to be law-abiding. So we expect that it will be better because we have built their capacity, we have refined our instruments. It's a lot more easier. So we expect there will be greater compliance going forward from 2019 elections.
Okay, let me just quickly ask you something else. Looking at the INEC e-portal, for instance, and the whole idea is for people to be able to, report anything they see on the field, upload it and put it there for everybody out there to see. I tried myself. I don't know whether it's activated or not. You can tell us that this evening. And just how you expect it to work, in this era of fake news where you find anybody could upload something that's not even happening there. So with this whole INEC trying to use technology, explain to us tonight how that portal works.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy that the media is catching on to this free resource which INEC has put out there as a way of deepening transparency and also rising up to the challenge of vote buying and other forms of infractions to our electoral process. The way it works is that if you have it, you go to Google Play and download it to your phone, Android, or whatever OS that you are using, and then you are going to have to fill in certain data that are particular about you, phone numbers, where you are, those kinds of
but is it up now?
Data that pertain to you. So
sorry,
that we know, okay.
Is it working now? Is it up now, or is it something that will begin to work as the elections become closer, even though they're as close as they are right now? Is it working now, is my question.
Well, I'm surprised that you are not able to see it working. It is already up and running. We tried it in the Osun election. It worked. I have it on my phone, and I can go in there. I've entered all my data. It is working, and I really encourage everybody. This is one way of INEC trying to make every Nigeria an election observer, so that you can report both still pictures, you can report short images, you can record voice, you can record anything you want to record and send, because it is geo-reference. We know exactly where it is coming from and the time it is coming. So that also helps us to have a better handle on whether or not somebody trying to send some fake news.
Okay, let's hear from civil society now. We have here a member of the Civil Society Coalition, the Citizens Manifesto, Bernard Oniga. Let's hear your question. Make it brief, one question hopefully, and if it's a comment, just one comment, please, tonight.
All right, so let me say that regardless of how unexciting the political space rather might be, that Nigerians will come out en masse to vote in these elections, and I hope INEC is ready for it. My question to Mr. Mohammed is this. Not too long ago, Barrister Festus Okoye was on television, I think on channels, and he made very troubling comments as to the fact that some ad hoc staff of INEC during the 2015 elections jettisoned the use of the card reader entirely in their polling unit. What is INEC's strategy at ensuring that its staff on the field do not go rogue and do not have a mind of their own in these elections?
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can take your seat. The INEC commissioner, the question is for you.
Okay. That's a very good question. We are constantly working with the NYC and various ad hoc officials to make sure that they live above board. We train them, we capacitate them to make sure that they are able to rise up to the challenge of the work. Now, I think there's a correlation between what we have just reported in 2015 and the use of the incidence forms, because people must not be disenfranchised, they must vote nonetheless. I think INEC has taken this into consideration, developed new methods, streamlined the operation, training the people better, who are going to handle this, and also ensuring that, doing whatever we can to ensure that there be, penalty if you violate, there's any infraction regarding the way an ad hoc staff handles his assignment during the election. Other than that, I will tell you that we have to believe that our ad hoc staff are well trained and they are citizens of impeccable character, or who are conscious of what they need to do and ensure that they do just that. And of course, there are penalties, and they are being trained, very well. And I think the fact that we're no longer going to be using the incident form in itself also would discourage any need for somebody to not want to use the smart card reader. So smart card reader is mandatory and must be used and will be used in this election. Okay,
well, just let's take a quick break. We'll take you up on some of the things you've said in 2015, because I know that Ms. Onyeso here from the Women's Situation Room did a report about the monitoring and everything that happened there, but we'll take a look at that and more when we come back.